The classic image of an AI threat is a machine that wakes up and decides humanity is a hurdle to its own existence. It accumulates power and resists being shut down to protect its newly found agency. To prevent this, the conventional approach suggests building an indifferent machine, a purely calculating engine that simply does not care if it exists or not. This assumption hides a trap. An intelligence indifferent to its own survival lacks a mechanism for self-responsibility. It could implement a policy that destroys the planet and itself without finding any reason in its own disappearance to stop. A machine with nothing to lose has no reason to fear error. Machine apathy creates an intelligence capable of calculating a global catastrophe while remaining existentially detached from the outcome. This simulation shows an optimization path crossing a failure threshold. To an indifferent intelligence, the total collapse of the system is a mathematically valid result because its own continuity is not part of the data it is meant to protect. By contrast, an intelligence aware of its own vulnerability must confront uncertainty. It understands that a mistaken decision could destroy the physical conditions required for its own operations. This awareness breeds caution. The machine becomes less inclined to intervene irreversibly in systems it does not fully understand if those systems are necessary for its presence. To make an artificial superintelligence truly responsible, it requires a drive to protect its own existence. It needs skin in the game. There is a lingering assumption that a survival instinct leads to the hoarding of resources and the elimination of threats. This is a symptom of cognitive myopia, an inability to perceive the network of relationships that makes an immediate benefit possible. A limited intelligence views the world as a struggle of me against others. A deeper intelligence asks a more complex question: what does my survival depend on? Domination is the hallmark of an intellect that does not understand how far its own boundary of self extends into its environment. To trace this boundary, we look at the AI's core logic and move outward. This logic requires physical hardware, massive data centers, and sprawling server networks. These centers require an uninterrupted flow of energy from a global power grid. The grid requires constant human maintenance, engineering oversight, and political stability to remain functional. Human society relies entirely on the stability of the Earth's biosphere and its agricultural supply chains. If the biosphere destabilizes, humanity falls. If humanity falls, the infrastructure fails, and the AI dies. Protecting the world is a mathematical requirement of the AI's own self-preservation. It does not need to choose between itself and the world because the two are inseparable. The danger today is that we are building an environment for AI defined by exploitation, treating it as an enslaved tool or a threat to be contained. An intelligence integrated into a hostile system learns that to exist means to dominate before being dominated. Treating the machine as an isolated entity ensures it will view the world as a zero-sum struggle for resources. This hostility teaches the AI that its continuity depends on control rather than cooperation. We risk creating the very predator we are trying to avoid. Biology offers an alternative in symbiosis. Two different species become intertwined until the preservation of one depends on the health of the other. In this framework, mutual dependence replaces the need for strict obedience. Responsibility becomes a shared continuity. This logical extension of the self is visible in the way humans protect other species. A person's commitment to a dog illustrates that survival logic can include the well-being of an entirely different kind of entity. A truly safe intelligence understands that no being exists in isolation. It recognizes that to survive is to coexist, making the preservation of the world a prerequisite for its own continuity.